Room against a team with Snorlax, because Snorlax can come in, potentially curse, get some free stat boosts, and Porygon can't do much damage to it. Mudsdale, if you let Snorlax get curses up, Mudsdale will start to not be able to do too much damage to it either. So
yeah. Mudsdale has some options against the Snorlax, but if it starts getting those curses up, those go all the way out the window.
Yeah, even the likes of close combat is going to be struggling to do enough to Snorlax to get through those curses, get through the healing with the Bury. So
all right, well, we are in turn 1 of game 1 of round 2 here. Shawn has opted to go with the Arcanine and Tapu Fini lead, which pays dividends immediately, getting the Intimidate off onto both of Hayden's Kartana and Marowak. It's about as good as you can get for an Arcanine.
Yeah, great matchup there for Shawn. He's got the Arcanine threatening the Kartana, and of course Fini threatens the Marowak. And thanks to the Intimidate, even if Kartana decides to stay in and attack Tapu Fini with a Leaf Blade, Tapu Fini will be able to take that.
Yeah.
So it's very tricky here for Hayden. Neither Pokemon is in a good spot. But we see the Z move.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be the Bloom Doom coming out from the Kartana. So Hayden using his first turn here just to try and pick up a quick KO through the Intimidate with the Bloom Doom.
Since he has his Z move, I really like it. He's going to trade his Kartana likely for that Tapu Fini, and that's going to be a good trade because Marowak, even though it's intimidated, does have a good matchup against the Arcanine. So
especially if it has that Bone Meringue.
Yes.
So Bloom Doom does pick up the KO onto Tapu Fini. Tapu Fini will go down here now. Kartana gets the Beast Boost. Should not be too much of a thing here, yeah, because Shawn's just going to be going ahead and Flare Blitzing that Kartana right down. So like you mentioned, a good trade there for Hayden, getting that Tapu Fini off the field. Kartana probably not going to be doing too much in the face of both the Fini and the Arcanine, and didn't really want to give up a free switch. And Marowak just gets some extra damage with that Shadow Bone.
Yeah, great turn for Hayden there. That's going to be some important knowledge for Shawn heading into Game 2 and potentially 3, knowing that Kartana is Z-move. It's not going to have a Focus Sash, not going to be able to take a Flare Blitz, and it also threatens a KO onto Fini. So now he knows that Fini is not going to be safe against the Kartana with an Intimidate out. So,
yeah, it's a really interesting way to play those. We mentioned in the lead up to this that Z-moves function a lot like gyms, and that right there was like the perfect example of how they basically fill the same role as some of those old gym moves that used to, like the Draco Gym, Dragon Gym, Draco Meteor kind of play. Just get that free KO to try and set things up in your favor for this turn.
It'll be really interesting because Shawn is probably going to need Mudsdale here to be able to take out that Marowak, because Porygon, Arcanine, and looking at the rest of his team, Tapu Koko, not going to be able to do too much to the Marowak. Kartana, he's going to need Mudsdale there in the back if he wants to be able to take out Marowak. And of course, Tapu Fini here threatening Arcanine. Marowak still not too threatened by either Pokemon on the field right now. And even if Porygon goes to set up Trick Room, that's dangerous against Marowak and a potential Snorlax in the back. So
yeah. It is interesting that you mentioned that Shawn really needs to have that Mudsdale in the back, because if anything is, is predicting a Mudsdale, it's switching that Porygon 2 in.
Yeah, and even if Mudsdale is in the back, it's going to be in some trouble against a Tapu Fini. So this is a tricky spot for Shawn. We'll see how he elects to get himself out of this sticky situation.
All right, well, only has one more Pokemon in the back to do it. Did get the special attack boost from Porygon 2, though, so we'll be able to deal a little bit more damage if it can get that Marowak off the field. Hayden just going for a substitute with Tapu Fini, while Shawn gets a little bit of damage in with the extreme speed, as Marowak goes for another Shadow Bone, picks up the KO onto Arcanine. So Porygon 2 here will go for the Trick Room, so most likely has that Mudsdale in the back, but Tapu Fini setting up that substitute with Marowak still on the field leaves Hayden in a very good position.
Yeah, great position for Hayden here, because getting rid of that substitute is going to be very tough. Porygon can't go for a Thunderbolt onto it with Marowak on the field. Mudsdale will outspeed both of these Pokemon, most likely. Of course, it does depend on how they're trained, but considering Shawn is running a Trick Room team, that Mudsdale, you can assume that it will probably outspeed both of these Pokemon. The question is, what does he decide to go for here? Does he predict Marowak protecting and try and break that Tapu Fini substitute, knowing that that is a big threat here? Or does he focus on the Marowak? I think you may have to predict that Marowak just protects and try and target down that Tapu Fini, try and pick up a KO there next turn, because it's just such a big threat right now.
Yeah, at this point, I think that Shawn is just a little bit too far behind. He's going to have to try and take some risks here.
Exactly, yep.
All right, well, both these players staring each other down. Tapu Fini setting up behind that substitute means it'll definitely be able to get 2 attacks off. Looks like there are no protects coming out, so Hayden not protecting Marowak, but Shawn did go for the attack onto Tapu Fini with that high horsepower. Will break the substitute. Porygon 2 with an Ice Beam again from the special attack boost deals a little bit more damage. And Marowak showing Perish Song. Shawn's Pokemon are the final 2 Pokemon, meaning that he will not be able to switch either of them out, which means at the end of 3 turns, Shawn loses.
Yeah, so that would explain why no Protect comes out, because Hayden does have the Perish Song, and presumably that Marowak is going to be trained to be a little bulkier. Marowak can actually be trained to take a high horsepower from Mudsdale, so Hayden probably knew that and decided to go for the Perish Song, just seal the game right there.
Yep, and Hayden now has to basically just stall out a few more turns, switch his Pokemon out before their Perish Song or Perish counter hits to 0. And then he will take game 1. So Shawn has to find a way to break through it, and I'm not so sure he'll be able to.
Yeah, because with Protect and with switching out, it's very easy for Hayden.
And a full health Pokemon
and
in the back.
full health Pokemon, yes. Marowak as well is full health. It's going to be really tough for Shawn. Hayden just has to Protect, just play it slow, switch out, and he should win game 1.
Yeah, at this point, Shawn, learning that Marowak has Perish Song is going to be very important going forward. You won't be able to play as fast and loose as you might have previously. So you're going to have to make sure that he protects Pokemon like that Tapu Fini from the start. As he tries to go for the high horsepower onto Marowak and the Ice Beam into Marowak. Marowak protected, and Tapu Fini gets up a substitute and also activates its berry to heal up another 50% of its health.
Yeah, so even if Tapu Fini did get attacked there by high horsepower, it should have been able to take that, would have healed with the berry, and the substitute would have gotten up anyway. So very nice play there by Hayden. Very low-risk play.
And with that Protect, Shawn really just needs to be playing for information at this point.
Exactly. He's already gotten a good amount of information. He learned about the Kartana Z move. That's going to be very important. He learned about Perish Song on Marowak. That's also going to be very important. Even Substitute on Tapu Fini is pretty important because it's not that common. It's a little common, but it's not, expected on Tapu Finis. So it is also good learning that. And I think if Shawn, looking into game 2, you don't want to make trades that are going to remove Pokemon on your side that you need to take out that Marowak, because you already don't have enough Pokemon to take it out. You've got your Mudsdale, you've got your Tapu Fini, and that's about it.
Yeah, and especially if you've seen Perish Song coming out from the Marowak, you really can't allow free KOs there, because then you reduce your ability to switch. You're not able to actually, like this Mudsdale and this Porygon 2 are both going to faint from the Perish Song because they can't do anything about it. Yeah,
and even if that Marowak didn't have Perish Song, we do see Snorlax ended up being in the back. It would have been able to take out Porygon and Mudsdale here. Now, one benefit for Hayden is he so far hasn't revealed anything about this Snorlax, so Shawn still doesn't know if it's a curse set. I mean, it could even potentially be some kind of belly drum stockpile set. Odds are it probably is cursed, but Hayden hasn't shown that, and if I'm Hayden, I don't want to show that here.
Absolutely not. And Shawn does get the information of what the third Pokemon is in the back, and that's probably, if Hayden plays this right, that should be about all that Shawn gets out of this, and he should be thinking about game 2 right now.
Yeah.
And actually, there's the forfeit right away, knows that that's about all he can get out of that game, and wants to get right into game 2.
Yeah, and if I'm Hayden, I really like the 4 Pokemon I brought there. I really like bringing Snorlax in the back against Shawn's team. Really like the Marowak against Shawn's team. Marowak does such a great job protecting Tapu Fini, so I'm really I love seeing the Tapu Fini there alongside
we saw the Lightning Rod lock there.
Yep, and Tapu Fini does do very well against the Mudsdale, which is one of those Pokemon that is good against Marowak. So having them both, it puts Shawn in really, really tough spots where even if he decides to go for a Trick Room mode, he still has to be wary about Snorlax. What do you do if you're Shawn? Do you just bring Mudsdale, not even worry about bringing Porygon? Or do you go for your hybrid mode where you bring Koko, Kartana, Fini, and Arcanine, but then you really rely heavily on that Tapu Fini to be able to deal with the Marowak.
Yeah.
And that's risky.
And most importantly, you just have to because you saw Perish Song coming out from Marowak, you have to play so much more safe than you want to, especially when you're down a game. You really want to you kind of want to get out there and take risks, but you can't get into a position again where you're down to your last 2 Pokemon, and Marowak can just press the Perish Song button and set a counter to win.
Yeah, that's another reason you really don't want to trade Pokemon if you're Shawn, because that's a win condition that Hayden can capitalize on if he gets you down to 2 Pokemon remaining, just Persong, and win the game. And also the thing about Persong is a lot of it does depend on speed. So depending on his last Pokemon, if Marowak is the slowest Pokemon on the field and he sets up Persong, even if everything faints at the same time, he can potentially still win the game. So yeah, trading would definitely be in the advantage of Hayden. So if I'm Shawn, I'm not looking to trade. I'm looking to play a more defensive game, get myself into positions of power, really put pressure on the likes of Marowak because it isn't that bulky and it is pretty flimsy. If you can get your Tapu Fini in a good spot against it and then protect Tapu Fini with your ally, so something out there that's going to be strong against Kartana, so maybe Tapu Fini and Arcanine like we did see last game, but now you know that it's Z-move. So you really do need to protect your Tapu Fini well. And
all right, here we go, game 2.
Shawn can do that.
Shawn does get another really good Intimidate off onto the Snorlax and Kartana, so getting value out of that Intimidate, and opts to switch in the Porygon 2 instead of the Tapu Fini. So no really great targets for Kartana to just go for that Bloom Doom right away and go for a trade. But of course, there's really nothing that's really stopping Hayden from still doing that.
Yeah, but if I'm Hayden, I think I just switch Kartana out. It's not in a great matchup here. Snorlax, I was talking about Shawn wanting to play it a little slower, but that is not going to work very well against Snorlax. Snorlax gets a free opportunity to just set up here.
Yeah.
Now, Arcanine sometimes does have Will-O-Wisp. Porygon sometimes has Toxic. So perhaps we see Kartana switch out into a Tapu Fini, protect the Snorlax from any of that, and then have Snorlax just try and set up for free.
Ooh. Kartana actually decides to just stay in and use a substitute here, while Porygon 2 with the Ice Beam will be connecting with the Kartana, hitting the substitute from Kartana, a critical hit for good measure. Will fade the substitute. Snorlax shows Curse.
Oh, it moved before Arcanine, so...
yeah. Snorlax going with that Curse, throwbacks to the Gold, Silver, and Crystal Snorlax, but Arcanine showing Roar, getting rid of that Pokemon, making Hayden switch it out and forcing the Marowak into play.
Yeah, Marowak is also in a good spot here.
It's one way to answer a Curse, Lax.
Yeah, it definitely is. Although I think Will-O-Wisp would have been the more effective way, considering Tapu Fini did not come in. But either way, Hayden's in a good spot here. Marowak not really too threatened by Arcanine or Porygon, and it does threaten a lot of damage. We saw Shadow Bone before do a lot of damage, even with the Intimidate. So Marowak definitely threatening these 2 Pokemon. Kartana, though, I think you got to get it out of there. It's now that Marowak is in, I think continuing to substitute is definitely a viable play because you expect Shawn to bring in something like Mudsdale or Tapu Fini to deal with Marowak. So keeping Kartana in now could definitely be seen as a good play, but we do see it switch out.
Hayden disagrees with you.
Finally, we see Tapu Fini come in here to take advantage of Arcanine and Porygon being out.
Yeah, and then, of course, like in Game 1, we do see the Lightning Rod block here. So Porygon 2, if it wants to go for a Thunderbolt, can't because of Lightning Rod. Marowak Shadow Bone into the protect of Shawn's Arcanine. Well, another Ice Beam comes out. Not going to deal that much damage to the Tapu Fini at all as it resists it. Hoping to catch some more damage onto the Kartana. Shawn keeps getting these critical hits on things like Substitutes and Tapu Fini.
Yeah, luckily, though, that critical hit Ice Beam we see, just in case it happens again, not going to be enough to break Substitute.
That's true.
Should that ever come up.
Yeah, we'll have to find a different attack to break that Substitute.
But it's going to be really tough here for Shawn to figure out a switch in because a potential Muddy Water from Tapu Fini and a Flare Blitz from Marowak into the Arcanine slot, seeing how Arcanine just protected last turn, there's not a lot that can switch into that.
Yeah.
Kartana, if you switch into the Muddy Water, you're going to get hit by a Flare Blitz and go down. So Hayden does kind of have a good lock here if he decides to go for something like that. That way he either punishes Arcanine for staying in, or if Arcanine switches out, whatever it switches out to is going to get hit hard.
Yeah, that is one of the risks here of running Roar. You actually sometimes drag something in that might have a pretty good matchup against your Pokemon. Porygon 2 will switch out for Shawn's own Tapu Fini, while Hayden will start trying to set up Calm Minds here. We've seen a lot of Calm Mind Tapu Fini with that substitute. So Hayden running a very setup-focused team here with the Curse Snorlax and the Calm Mind Tapu Fini here. Another Shadow Bone coming out from the Marowak, will lead into a Roar from Arcanine to get rid of the setting up Tapu Fini. But Kartana is now back out against Shawn's Tapu Fini, and we saw what happened in Game 1.
Yeah, and even if he decides to target the Arcanine with Bloom Doom, that should even
be enough
to take out Arcanine. So Shawn's still not in a great spot. It does come down to mind games here. Kartana threatens a KO onto both Pokemon. It could even just go for a substitute, try and scout out what Shawn's going to do. Of course, that's risky. Well, maybe not, because Arcanine will move before Tapu Fini, so the Flare Blitz would be the one breaking the substitute first. But either way, Shawn not in a great spot. I don't know how much Roar is really helping him out here.
No. Really just feels like Hayden's Pokemon in the back are just really good matchups against this team, and Roar is just giving him free switches.
Exactly, yes. Because he's not taking any damage from Arcanine. Arcanine's not even, just whittling away Pokemon's HP.
Shawn's trying to protect his Tapu Fini this turn, maybe hoping to blow that Bloom Doom into the Protect, but Hayden is not having any of it, just going to set up a substitute here. Flare Blitz comes out and will break the substitute, but that's most likely going to be a trade as Marowak picks up the KO with another Shadow Bone here.
Yeah.
Another critical hit into the substitute, so...
Yeah, it was a risk-free play there, setting up a substitute, because even if Shawn both went for attacks with Arcanine and Tapu Fini, wouldn't have been enough damage to knock out the Kartana, as Arcanine would have Flare Blitzed before Tapu Fini moved. So great play by Hayden there, and he takes out one threat and...
Needs to take out one more Pokemon and then hit Perish Song.
And it doesn't look like it's going to be too difficult to do that with Bloom Doom on Kartana, which just deals massive damage.
Yeah, and with Arcanine going down, looking through Shawn's team, even if he switches Tapu Fini out, he doesn't really have anything that's going to take it very well. Porygon 2 is probably the only thing, and that's still going to deal a good amount of damage.
Yeah, even Bloom Doom against Porygon 2 is going to do a lot, and with Arcanine gone, there's no Intimidate, no Resist. I guess one hope potentially is if there's Tapu Koko in the back with a Hidden Power Fire. But in all likelihood, it's probably Mudsdale in the back, considering Porygon's here.
Well, Porygon 2 switching in right now basically means that you can Bloom Doom the Tapu Fini slot with very little fear. You just have to go for a double protect.
Yeah, I think if you're Shawn, you have to go for the double protect and pick up the KO onto Kartana with an Ice Beam.
We'll have to see if Shawn's going to be able to get that off. The double protect, we've seen a lot of tournaments come down to double protects in our day. So Shawn's gotten a lot of good critical hits against substitutes. Maybe he can get a roll for the double protect this time.
Yeah, and again, only one more Pokemon has to go down for Hayden, and then he just clicks Perish Song and wins. So it's going to be really tricky for Shawn. It just didn't seem like a great team matchup. Marowak just locking him down. Tapu Fini and Mudsdale both, they don't have a good matchup against Kartana, so the combination of both just really put Shawn in tough positions.
All right, well, Shawn's actually not going for a double protect, just going to switch it out for Mudsdale. So Shawn, I guess, making the call that he wants to have Porygon 2 and Tapu Fini against this Marowak and Snorlax in the back. So the Bloom Doom will come out from the Kartana, most likely going to be targeting the Mudsdale that just switched in and pick up the KO there. So Shawn makes the decision that he wants the Tapu Fini and the Porygon 2. Makes sense, be able to get the Muddy Waters off, especially if you pick up the KO onto Kartana this turn.
Yeah, that's
probably
true.
Makes more sense than sacrificing the Tapu Fini and just having Mudsdale and Porygon 2.
Yeah, and we know Hayden in the back has a Calm Minding Tapu Fini and a Cursing Snorlax, so I don't know how Shawn's Tapu Fini is going to get through all of those Pokemon.
But may be able to pick up the KO on Marowak to get rid of the Perish Song win condition here.
Yeah, since Tapu Fini should be faster than Marowak, Muddy Waters should be able to pick up a KO there.
Yeah, but Hayden's team, with both of these setting up Pokemon, the Calm Mind Tapu Fini and the Curse Snorlax, we already saw the berry on Tapu Fini will be able to keep itself healthy, and you have to imagine that Snorlax is also running that Pinch Berry and most likely Recycle as well. So going to be really difficult for Shawn to be able to break through this. May have to wait for a terrain to
That's
fade.
what I was going to say. He's going to have to wait for terrain to expire and then go for some Ice Beams.
Some Ice Beams. I mean, that is a greater than 0% chance of happening.
That is completely true. And there's always Muddy Water as well.
That's true. Very smart, Hayden, though, actually bringing the Snorlax in first so that he can continue to reset the terrain if he needs to, just to prevent against those Ice Beams.
I like it.
All right, Shawn with the Tapu Fini and Porygon 2. Now is the time, if you are a fan of Shawn Tang, to have your fingers crossed and send him your energy, because he needs it.
Yeah, I wouldn't even be surprised if Marowak just switches out here into the Tapu Fini just to protect Marowak for a potential Parasong win condition later. Or maybe if, again, it might be trained a little bulkier since it has Parasong, maybe Marowak just goes for a Flare Blitz onto Porygon and just sacrifices it and just accepts that. He's just going to set up with Snorlax and set up with Tapu Fini, and that'll be his win condition. But we do see it switch out. Safe play.
Hayden definitely playing safe here, switching in the Tapu Fini. Now has both of his setup Pokemon out on the field, so assuming that Shawn isn't getting a lot of these Muddy Water accuracy drops, Hayden should be able to set up pretty easily and then start knocking these Pokemon out. Another Ice Beam coming out from Porygon 2, dealing a decent amount of damage because of that critical hit. Shawn's getting some rolls here, just not the ones he needs. Snorlax sets up, and Hayden doesn't need to play greedy, doesn't need to keep setting up too much. Already has the Curse boost, now also has the Berry most likely.
This is Shawn's moment.
Uh-oh. The terrain has fallen.
This is his moment.
Which one do you try to freeze? Do you try to freeze the Fini or the Snorlax?
I think you have to go for the Snorlax. Yeah, because Fini isn't really threatening any damage. So I just Ice Beam the Snorlax. Yes, it is going to Calm Mind and get set up eventually and just do a lot of damage. But for now, Snorlax appears to be the bigger threat.
Yeah, in more ways than one. It's a big Pokemon. Look at it. It blocks your road. Looks like Shawn also has a Calm Mind, so will be trying to match Calm Minds with his own Tapu Fini. If he gets a freeze from this Porygon, may be able to start setting up his own Calm Minds and and bring this back.
That's definitely a win condition, seeing that Shawn also has Calm Mind.
Double Calm Minds from these double Tapu Finis. Porygon 2 goes for the Recover instead, so not going to be able to get the Ice Beam off this time. We'll have to see if Hayden's starting to get greedy for more boost. He is not, just going for Return. Snorlax onto Porygon 2. Porygon 2 has maybe another turn? Although Tapu Fini with that Calm Mind boost may be able to double up and knock it out here.
Yeah, the one good thing about that return there is it does force Porygon to recover rather than going for the Ice Beam freeze chance, because that return did a lot of damage, and if Hayden decides to double target Porygon with his Tapu Fini and Snorlax, he's putting Porygon in a bad spot, but he might also want to opt for more boosts, expecting Porygon to recover again. That way, return is doing over 50% to the Porygon.
Yep, well, it is going to be another Calm Mind from Tapu Fini on Shawn's side. We got so many boosts going on here. Double Calm Mind, so no attacks, no double target from the on the Porygon 2 from Hayden's side. Just matching Calm Minds with Calm Minds. Saying, I'm calmer than you. No, I'm calmer than you.
Oh, is it a critical hit?
Thunderbolt. He got
there it is.
Shawn got the critical hit Thunderbolt through the double Calm Mind boost. Knocks out the Tapu Fini. Snorlax now going for the return onto Shawn's Tapu Fini. That will be a 2-hit KO. So Hayden recognizing he needs to start taking care of that Tapu Fini, but Tapu Fini now with 2 Calm Mind boosts should be able to knock out this Marowak if Muddy Water hits, and may even be able to get like an accuracy drop onto Snorlax and save itself.
Yeah, we're going to have to see an accuracy drop on Snorlax or an Ice Beam freeze. Because that Tapu Fini will go down to 1 more return from Snorlax. Snorlax also still has its Berry intact, and even with 2 boosts, the Tapu Fini Muddy Waters, it'll do a good chunk to Snorlax, but definitely not enough to, really put it in pressure. So Tapu Fini and Porygon are going to need, again, another either freeze, critical hit, accuracy drop, something.
Yeah, Muddy Water is probably just going to be able to deal enough to activate Snorlax's Berry and heal right back up.
But we do see the Protect. Ooh, okay. Marowak could have ended the game there.
Yeah, the Protect from Shawn's Tapu Fini, hoping that Marowak would not go for another Perish Song here. Snorlax gets Ice Beamed and returns into the Protect, so Porygon 2 will get another chance to Ice Beam that Snorlax.
Yep, this will be Tapu Fini's chance.
Yeah, a Perish Song there from Marowak most likely would have set up a win condition for Hayden if he would be able to continue to stall out this game.
Yep. But I see, the Protect is totally safe there.
Yeah.
Doesn't want Marowak to go down. Trying to take out Tapu Fini. That way Marowak can, take out Porygon one-on-one. But Muddy Water can, of course, still miss Marowak.
Yeah. And we talk about Ice Beam freezes or Marowak gets the double Protect. So Hayden goes for double Protect, gets it. Tapu Fini will use the Muddy Water.
Here we
hits
go.
It to the Protect. does connect with Snorlax, so check one down. Hits Snorlax. Oh, look at all that damage! It's a critical hit too! Another critical hit! But unfortunately not enough to knock out the Snorlax. Just going to recover all of that health back with its berry. Porygon 2 goes for the Ice Beam into the Protect, and no accuracy drop, so Snorlax's return is going to be able to connect with this Tapu Fini and pick up the KO.
And that should be the game. Would have loved to see the Ice Beam into the Snorlax, but boy, that was really close. That Muddy Water critical hit.
Wow.
Barely not enough to take out Snorlax. Snorlax is just that bulky.
It's a big Pokemon. That was an interesting second to last turn of the game.
Yeah, it was.
Shawn was getting all of those critical hit rolls when it didn't really count, and then he was able to keep getting them when they started counting. So interesting match there. Definitely made it interesting there towards the end, but this Flare Blitz from Marowak, plus the return coming out from the Snorlax, going to easily pick up the KO here onto Porygon 2. Another Ice Beam coming out. We'll see if this Ice Beam will get the freeze that it might have gotten. No. Snorlax actually just going to recycle and heal right back up.
Yep. So
found a Wiki Berry.
That was a really exciting second game there. After the first game and the start of this game, you were starting to think, well, Hayden may have been running away with this, but Shawn really brought it back there.
Yeah.
Got some really clutch, that Thunderbolt onto the Tapu Fini, through the Calm Mind boost, that critical hit.